Well, a very, very good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome once again after a week's holiday to round four of the SMRC eSports Racing Summer Championship. This week we are visiting Circuit de la Sarthe in France for that iconic venue of Le Mans. A very good evening. We are joined again this week by our superstar commentator, Andy Alston. Andy, welcome back to the virtual commentary box here for the SMRC Esports Racing Summer Championship. It's going to be a very strange night tonight, isn't it?
You need to stop bigging me up like that, man, honestly. No, I tell you what, I've had this one in the diary for quite some time because I think this is going to be a real test of the drivers here. It's a 10-minute race, but we're looking at probably around the 4-minute mark for a lap. So the action is going to be very, very tight, and I think it's going to be crucial about keeping that car on the track and avoiding those penalties.
It certainly is. It certainly is. So, as I said, we've got a bit of a strange night tonight, as we have only got, this is who we're supposed to have out on track just now. And let's have a look. Right, so that's who we're supposed to have out on track. We've sent out all of the invites, and we only have a handful of cars in at the moment. So we'll work out what's going on. That is who is on track at the moment. We've got 5 cars in, so it could be that we need to run an extra heat. So we'll go and figure that out. But we'll leave you with a little bit of the on-track action just now. We'll take a little quick break for a minute. And Andy, I think we're going to have to go and scratch our heads and figure out how we're going to fix tonight. Right, we had a little bit of a technical pause there. We're working away behind the scenes, trying to figure out why we've only got 5 people into our heat, because the PlayStation 4 is normally our busiest evening. So, a very good evening to Josh McNabb, who is on YouTube, and Glenn Alcock, who astutely found out that there's no commentary. That's because we were making some frantic calls to Mr. Weddle, trying to get things sorted out. Anyway, Andy, with the heat that we've got just now, obviously it's a difficult enough track as it is, but given how spaced out these cars are going to be, and if they even get a qualifying lap in, because I know, like myself, you gave a shot to the GTE on this track.
Yeah, I was just about to say that there. We've got 3 minutes to go and not one person set a time yet, so yeah,
it bodes well, doesn't it?
This could be interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think this is it's a very interesting combination. It's a car that can be a little bit unforgiving, and I think as well that the challenging thing about doing a lap of this track is you get to the Porsche curves and you have to avoid the temptation of thinking it's job done here. Yeah. Because if you do, that's when you're going to risk, dropping a couple of wheels and then your lap's invalidated, and before you know it, you're starting the race from the back of the pack. So it's all about getting through the first half of the lap, and you can go, right, I know I've got a good time potentially in the bag here. Get to the final phase of the lap and just bring the car home. Get the time on the board. That's the main thing.
Yes, it sounds absolutely spot on. However, it sounds like it's going to be easier said than done. It's a wonderful, wonderful, fast-flowing circuit, this, and the GTE is obviously quite iconic round here, and a very, very special connection to Scotland with our very own Johnny Adam just a couple of years ago in that incredible performance that he did. And how much fun is it to emulate that success, do you think?
I think it's fun if you get the lap together. I found it the most frustrating thing, honestly. See, trying, we do a lot of research for these events, of course we do, and part of that research is having a go, trying to be half as good as some of these drivers that we've got here, because there's been some really good times across the board over the first few rounds of this championship, and honestly, trying to get a couple of clean and consistent laps going is easier said than done, but that's the beauty of this championship. We're able to pay tribute to some of the real success stories that we've had in Scottish motorsport over the last few years, and it's really a perfect recipe for a great event here.
It certainly is. So let's have a look. We are watching WeDaz 34. That is, of course, Darrell Adams, who is making his way round the circuit just now. He's the first one in with a 3:58. Already smashed my time, the one time that I managed to get a decent lap in, and I think it was at a 4:01 or something like that. So there's so much that can go wrong round the course of this lap here, and it makes it very, very difficult. But from where I can see, he's just making his way onto the main straight here. And of course, this used to be just a complete flat-out section before they added the 2 chicanes here.
Yeah, it did, and there's been some iconic incidents over the years of it as well. Of course, hasn't there? I was watching lots of
Peter Dumbrick.
Yes, yes. I've been watching a lot of clips from over the last few years about this as well, and see when you watch the onboards of some drivers, you say the mid early 80s, it is absolutely phenomenal when you're watching them going down that Mulsanne straight at speeds of in excess of 200 miles an hour. It's credit to the drivers of that era. It's sensational stuff.
I heard a very interesting story actually as qualifying goes through, and it looks like we've only got one time on the board. That will change obviously, about the Mercedes, that it's a pinnacle moment that we saw both Peter Dumbrick and Mark Webber flipping the cars, and from what I heard, they didn't actually have a repair on that car. It was a new shell, and some very eye-frowning affairs that went on, and the VIN plate being welded on to the new chassis, and stuff that would never fly being the wrong choice of words. But it just shows you the sheer will and how much this race means to the manufacturers.
Oh, 100%. You know, and that's the beauty of these events. You know, you have to beat the race. You know, if we think in the World Endurance Championship over the last few years, there's been a little bit of criticism from Toyota because, of course, they've got hybrid power, and a lot of people thinking that it's a walk in the park for them. But you have to beat the race, no matter no matter if it's 24 hours, 4 hours, or whatever. You have to beat the race. You have to get that car to the finish, and you do it by, in some instances, with any means necessary from the mechanics.
So there we go. The clock is running down on qualifying, as we said. I think what may happen is we may end up bringing an early red flag to this race and rerunning it later on in the evening. I think there's been a bit of a mix-up with some of the timings for some of the folk that were on, so folk might accidentally think they're in a later heat than they actually are. We'll keep you up to date with that one and find out very, very shortly what is happening with that. I know we've got our guys behind the scenes working frantically trying to get the word out, and at the very least, the ones that haven't been able to make it into this heat, if we don't pull the plug altogether on this first one, we will run an extra heat at the end of the night for those that weren't able to make it into this one. In fact, I think that's what we'll do. I think we'll pull the plug on this heat just now. I'll go and explain it to the drivers, and we'll try and get them back in for this at the end of the evening. So we'll take a very, very quick break. We'll be back in about 10 minutes, guys and girls. We do apologise for the break in this, but obviously it's out with our control. We'll do our best to get this sorted, and we'll be back very, very shortly. So bear with us, and we'll see you very, very shortly.
Cool. Just going up to low, but 2 minutes.